Okay, let's call to order the meeting of the Planning Committee on Tuesday, July 30th at 9 a.m. Sorry for the change in times, but we needed it to adjust to do another meeting later in the morning here. So with that, let's get rolling.
Vice Chair Ranjiv Kush,
Here.
Director Diana Mayer, Director Matt Sampson,
Here.
Director Jed Smith,
Here.
and Chair Larry Russell.
Here. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any comments on the agenda?
There are none.
Could we get a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Kush,
Aye.
Director Mayer,
Aye.
Director Sampson,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Aye.
Chair Russell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment on non-agenda matters.
There are none.
Okay, that makes it easy. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Vice Chair Kush,
Aye.
Director Mayer,
Aye.
Director Sampson,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Aye.
Chair Russell.
Aye.
No comments from the public.
Okay, great. Capital Improvement Program, North Marin Line Stabilization Phase 1.
Morning, directors. Zachary Talbot, Engineering Manager Design. This morning we have Lucas Salem.
Good morning, Zach.
Good morning.
Terry has the touch, if you ever have a question about that. She's like a magician. She just zooms it in.
Thanks. Good morning, directors. My name is Lucas Salem. I'm an associate engineer on the design team. I'm here to present the North Marin Line Stabilization Phase 1 project. This project is in support of the district's capital improvement program as a transmission pipeline replacement project. The project is located near the Leo T. Cronin fish viewing area near the town of Lagunitas. This project will install a new 24-inch control valve known as the shafter valve and approximately 160 feet of new 24-inch pipe to replace the existing control valve and piping that was installed in 1957. The full North Marin Line Stabilization Project is a two-phase project designed to improve seismic resiliency of the North Marin water transmission line along the stretch of Sir Francis Drake from the Leo T. Cronin fish viewing area to the town of Lagunitas. Phase 1 will install the necessary valves and piping to avoid disrupting flow from Kent Reservoir to the San Geronimo treatment plant between phases 1 and 2, and more importantly, during phase 2 when the concurrent Tokoloma pump station rehabilitation project will be underway. Phase 2 of the project will replace two existing seismically vulnerable creek crossings. The engineer's estimate for the North Marin Line Stabilization Phase 1 project is $574,000. The project is scheduled to last 424 days with an estimated completion of October 30th, 2027. The construction window for this project is set outside of the northern spotted owl nesting season, February 1st to July 31st. The district will review and open bids for this project on August 18th, 2026. If bid documents are acceptable, staff will make a recommendation at a future regularly scheduled board meeting for contract award. Staff recommends the Planning Committee review and comment on the North Marin Line Stabilization Phase 1 project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for the report and the update on this project. Was this a project that we were able to use previously purchased pipe for? I know we had talked about potentially reusing some of the pipe we were obligated during the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge extension.
I'll answer that question. But we were able to pivot from that and sell back the remaining material we had for that project. So we didn't buy the whole entirety of that allotment, but we did buy some of that project pipeline for this. And we will be able to use some of that 24-inch pipeline for this.
That was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quick question, Zach, Lucas, thanks for the presentation. Just how much disruption are we expecting to traffic on Sir Francis Drake Boulevard? I feel like in previous discussions of this project, we've discussed that to some degree, managing, traffic along a pretty narrow but important corridor. Any thoughts on how much disruption there's going to be?
Yeah, we're in communication with the county on this, and we've estimated 45 days for phase one.
So there will be lane closures with routing through those closures for that period
In one location, yeah.
in one location.
Mhm.
All right. Well, yeah, hopefully, we can stick to schedule on that as much as possible.
Mhm.
But thanks for the update.
Diana?
No questions.
Jed?
Yeah, great. Thanks for the update, Zach. This is important work and we know how to do it well, so appreciate it. No questions, supportive.
Okay, I'm cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
No comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
2 professional service agreements for geotechnical engineering and field and laboratory material testing services. Hey, Mark.
Hello.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, members of the board. Mark Casray, Engineer Manager of Construction. Item C before you is a recommendation for review and comment for 2 proposed professional services agreements for geotechnical engineering and materials testing in support of district construction projects. So every few years, we solicit competitive proposals for these services in support of both our CIP and operational water main repairs. Materials density testing is performed on all underground repair and replacement projects. And this ensures that the backfill is compacted to district and local jurisdiction standards and to avoid failure or settlement of our trench restoration area. So the contracts are primarily utilized for materials density testing, but they're also utilized for various geotechnical services applicable to construction. Our CIP continues to grow, as you're aware, and so does our need for third-party support services, such as the contracts proposed before you today. We currently have 2 on-call geotechnical engineering contracts, which has ensured that we receive support for our projects in an efficient manner. And these existing contracts are approaching their performance date, and they're reaching their fee limit identified and approved by the board back in 2024. So accordingly, we released a request for proposals for these services and are proposing, again, 2 separate on-call geotechnical agreements. And each of these 2 proposed contracts will include a baseline contract period of 3 years, terminating June 30th, 2029, unless otherwise extended by a contract amendment. And they will include not to exceed limits of $750,000 each. The services are performed on a time and expense basis. It's an on-call, and the projects that are performed, they're funded by our existing capital and operational budgets. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just one briefly, do we get a lot of folks that submitted on this one?
We did. We received 7 proposals.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for the update, Mark. No questions.
Diana? No? Jed?
All good. Thank you.
Is there an inflation provision in it for the second year, or they fixed at the rate?
It's fixed at the rate that that's negotiated after the selection of the consultants. So the selection is based on their qualifications and their experience, and then we negotiate the costs, and it's fixed at that rate.
Was there a fair spread in the costs, or?
We currently are not examining the costs until we review the professional qualifications.
Cool. Okay, public comment?
There are none.
Okay, thank you, Mark. You doing the next one too?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I didn't prepare for that one, so thank you.
You would know. Panorama Environmental On-Call Environmental Compliance and Permitting Services Contract Amendment Number 1.
Good morning,
Hi,
directors.
Alicia.
Alicia Irish, Engineering Planning Manager, and I'm here this morning with Carly Blanchard, our environmental planner. Before she begins, I just want to congratulate her on her first year of service today. So thank you, Carly.
Okay, good morning, committee.
Time flies, huh?
Yes, it does. I'm Carly Blanchard, the environmental planner, and today staff are bringing a proposed amendment to the district's on-call environmental services agreement with Panorama Environmental. The amendment would increase the contract funding by 400,000 for a new not to exceed of 650,000. The original agreement was approved in June of 2025 to provide environmental compliance and permitting support. Since then, as the district's capital program has expanded, we've experienced a greater than anticipated need for cultural resource review, tribal coordination, archaeological monitoring, as well as resource protection services to support planning and construction efforts. This on-call agreement supports projects and initiatives across the district and is used by multiple departments to help meet environmental compliance requirements. Panorama has extensive experience supporting the district and has become a valuable partner in meeting environmental and cultural resource needs. Staff are bringing this amendment forward proactively to ensure the district has sufficient capacity to support ongoing and upcoming capital improvement projects without interruption. Staff are requesting the committee review and comment on the proposed amendment before it is brought to the board for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Carly, could you say a little more about what that means, what they do, for example, in the tribal monitoring and the cultural compliance, what kind of services they provide?
Yeah,
Alicia?
so part of environmental compliance is cultural resource monitoring. So this could involve like desktop assessments of any culturally sensitive areas that we may identify ahead of the project during its planning and design phases. Monitoring can include things such as like an inspector on site during the length of the construction project if it's in a culturally sensitive area. We have been experiencing projects in more of these sensitive areas, and it's important that we comply and work in coordination with the tribe, the Federated Indians of Greater Rancheria.
So, for example, we might want to do work in a site that's sacred to a tribe, for example.
Potentially, yes.
How's the situation in Fairfax going with the body?
We're still coordinating with Figure on that and trying to get that all resolved as how we're going to proceed with that. But we're looking to start here in the next week or so.
It just stopped.
It stopped.
Yeah, interesting. Do we have a policy, Jared, on addendums that are bigger than the original contract?
No, we don't have a precise policy on that, and it's up to the board's discretion. And staff, I think, generally reviews the budget, expenditures, and then upcoming capital projects to determine the appropriate amount. So,
Seems a little unusual to me to have an addendum bigger than the contract.
yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen before.
I have too.
In the sense of, right, you might have a large capital project where you need tons of geotechnical experience or something, so you bring back a larger amendment for that.
Yeah. Jed?
Any comments you can help provide for us about work that they've done that you've been impressed by, what you like about them, just any examples of why we like working with this organization?
Yeah, we've used Panorama for several years now. They're always extremely responsive, knowledgeable, and very professional. The first time that I worked with them was for the emergency landslide repair at Ross Reservoir, and they were able to quickly execute that environmental review, and we were able to fix that landslide ahead of further damage to our Ross Reservoir tank facility. And then they've also been part of our on-call over the last year now. And they provided expertise in recommending various environmental review pathways for projects such as the Wolfback Ridge Pipeline Replacement Project. They're also the environmental consultant for our ARC project, our Atmospheric River Capture project. And they really have a good knowledge of the district system and how it works and how we want to move forward and really execute our capital improvement program.
Got it. Thank you. Super helpful. Appreciate it.
Alicia, they did the BIFIP for us as well, didn't they?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
They've been here for a number of years.
Yeah.
Public comment?
There are none.
Okay, thank you very much. Information technology updates. Morning, Brett.
Good morning. Pull up the presentation here. As we're getting settled here, good morning. My name is Brett Uppendahl. I'm Finance Director. I have with me here today Brad Taylor, who is our IT Manager. And Brad's going to be walking us through kind of a general update, but it is going to cover a wide variety of projects and initiatives that the IT team is either undertaking currently or planning to undertake in the next 2 years. As the board is aware, we have a number of modernization efforts working across the district, trying to move towards more mobile-friendly, cloud-based services where we can. We're also doing a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes improvements to just the physical infrastructure to support the future of the district's technology program. So we're not asking for any action items today. We're just giving the board an update on our planning efforts and what you will likely be seeing in the next 2-year budget cycle. We'll also be bringing back specific items on this on these specific projects for board approval as they come up over the next year or so. So this is intended to be a broad overview of the initiatives that we're working towards, and we're happy to stop and take any questions along the way.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Brad Taylor. I'm the Information Technology Manager for the district. As Brett mentioned, this is going to be sort of a state of the system address, if you will, covering a lot of different topics. Please feel free to interject with any questions because I am going to be covering a lot of different topics throughout. If I do, as many IT people do, start talking in acronyms, just have Brett kick me under the table and that'll put me back on track. So first of all, wanted to give you guys an update on our ERP modernization strategy. We are sort of wrapping up phase 0 in terms of some of the lessons learned during that project. While we have this sort of downtime and we're refactoring the project, we are refining and updating our current SAP infrastructure, making some improvements, especially on the operations side. We are also, spending more time developing a deeper understanding of our business requirements and our workflow processes in SAP. This, again, will inform us going forward in the rest of the project. In terms of developing a new RFP for the next phase of the ERP solution, we are doing some market research and looking at peers in terms of the solutions that they're currently using. We are also educating ourselves on the kind of ecosystems surrounding some of the more popular ERP solutions that are being used. And we're also reviewing third-party resources that we can bring to bear to the project going forward.
Brad, what is the R3 the version? Like, is this the third time we're doing this?
It
What
is
does
very
that refer
confusing.
to?
Yeah. Our R3 is the version that we currently run.
Okay.
So R3 is the on-prem version of SAP. S4 is their next generation.
Okay.
So very confusing.
And SAP is both the acronym of the system and it's a company itself. Is that
Exactly.
correct? Okay.
The Germans.
So this is a revised timeline in terms of where we are today. We are in the midst of developing an RFP and conducting research around throughout utilities that are roughly our size and other municipalities. We hope to have an RFP in hand by the fall, late September, possibly early October. And we're going to conduct that RFP over the next couple months at that point. We are engaging with Gartner, and I'll mention this later in the presentation, and we're actually taking advantage of a service they have. It's called the Executive Partner Program to actually get some resources with eyes on the evaluation process of the RFP and development of the RFP. These are Gartner partners who have served as CIOs for municipalities or chief information officers in other, larger districts and have actually done these types of ERP modernization projects. So by the end of this calendar year, we hope to have a short list of vendors selected, at which point we'll then do our final selection process and then hopefully kick off in Q1 of next year. So this is really a restart of the project. We're expanding the scope in terms of the solutions that we're looking at. We're not just going to be considering SAP. We're going to be looking at other tier 1 and tier 2 ERP vendors. It's a fairly short list, quite honestly, because we're limited to we're sticking to solutions that are cloud delivered via the cloud, are SaaS based, and also support utility billing.
A quick question on the revised timeline.
Sure.
Looks like Q2 29 that we're looking at earliest, and that would be full implementation if we stick to this. Okay, but,
That would be the earliest, yeah. So a greenfield implementation, we do have the advantage in this approach going with a greenfield implementation, which means we're going to stand up the new solution in the cloud parallel to our current production systems without disrupting day-to-day operations. The estimates for implementation of a greenfield solution are 18 to 24 months.
Okay.
So,
and then would you still be able to follow the same strategy of tiered or, phased in implementation of things like time cards, things like that?
the greenfield approach would be more of a big bang type of implementation. In other words, we'd have the two systems up in parallel. One advantage we would have is the ability to run them in parallel and actually do some data verification and testing in parallel. So for example, we could run all of our work order processes in parallel. We could run payroll in parallel for a period of time. So I mean, I mentioned the 2029 is the earliest. We may take time to run the two systems in parallel to do that verification process. But this would be a hard cutover, basically, across the district.
You've talked in the past about concerns about support for our current system now. Any issues with that same concern moving all the way to 2029?
It shouldn't be. The current platform we're on goes, quote unquote, end of life or end of support in 2027, at the end of 2027, at the end of next calendar year. However, SAP is going to continue to offer what they call extended support. Plus, we have our partners lined up in terms of providing third-party support. So we shouldn't. I don't think the one way to look at it is SAP probably has about 30,000 to 50,000 customers still on the R3 platform. So they're probably not going to just abandon that user population.
Great, thank you.
Brad, just before you leave this section,
Sure.
You had talked. So we've heard, a little bit about restarting the process for the ERP modernization. Now you mentioned that we'll get into the details of why we are restarting when we go through the lessons learned, and you'll have briefings related to that.
Exactly.
So today's not the day to dig into that process or, what happened previously, but we will get to that.
Definitely.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Ed? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh. So I also wanted to highlight some enterprise systems that we're going to be going through upgrades in the next couple of years. The first is our GIS infrastructure. We will be actually externalizing that and moving to a hosted solution so that our GIS infrastructure will be going to the cloud. In conjunction with that migration, we'll be upgrading from what's called the geographic network to the utility network model. And utility network model will give us a lot of functionality that we don't have now because it actually imbues into the data relationships between all the components. So for example, if I want to isolate a particular zone, want to look at, say, a corrosion zone within our distribution system, the system can actually identify that logically based on the
Give me a
relationships.
second, Brad. Do we lose Jed?
Oh,
He's here.
I'm right here.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Just not worried
Yeah.
about, can't see you. So, there, and I.
No, I don't know that you need to look at me while he's presenting, but
No, we
if I'd
don't
like to, I can.
necessarily, but it concerned me because I thought maybe we'd lost you altogether.
Appreciate your concern.
Go ahead.
So Brad, I'm sorry. So is that currently hosted on our servers?
we
Just
currently
in-house?
host GIS in-house.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Here
Okay.
at this location, actually, here in the admin. We're also going to take the time, as I mentioned, to sort of refresh our current SAP infrastructure. So since about 2020, we have not been applying updates. We have been applying enhancement packs. We're going to go ahead and do that. And we're also going to be implementing some monitoring solutions within the product. So we know that at least for the next 2 years, possibly a little longer, we're going to need to support the existing system. So we're doing what we can to shore it up.
Real
and
quickly
then-
on that, sorry, keep interrupting, but with that
No.
upgrade of SAP, when we start getting AMI online at scale, are we going to have to wait for monthly billing, or or are we going to be stuck with bi-monthly billing until we go to a new SAP system?
I don't think the ERP system is going to, determine that. So if the desire is to move to monthly billing,
Okay, so they're not connected. Okay,
Right.
great, thank you.
there's no dependency there.
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry. I just
Not at all.
I've looked up a lot of acronyms when I was reviewing this presentation. So the SQL optimization, so like I mean, I use that a lot as an attorney, but when I'm on Westlaw or something, but how does that used here?
So our system has been in production for 25 years.
Uh-huh.
We have not pruned any data. We have not rebuilt indexes. So you have literally, historical data in the system that could be archived off. So SQL optimization involves archiving old data, taking it offline essentially, still accessible, rebuilding indexes, and basically just kind of housekeeping on the database level.
So if you want to find out about a leak that happened 20 years ago that might be similar to something that's happening now, you can
still
find it more easily. Okay. Got it.
That's also true, I presume, of billing information.
Yes.
It's all there, huh?
Yeah, we've actually loaded billing information prior to the deployment of SAP. So there was historical data loaded into our current production system that goes back beyond 2001 or before 2001. And then the last thing we'll be doing on this particular slide is discussing the advanced services in M365. So when we rolled out M365, we were very focused on Exchange Online. We were very focused on Teams. And the next phase of this rollout will involve sort of the analytics tools. So Power BI is a reporting tool to do advanced analytics. Power Automate is a workflow tool that allows you to build workflows and flows that automate work. Microsoft Forms are some other things, other technologies we're rolling out. So essentially, included within our M365 subscription was a lot more than just Office and Exchange and Teams. So this is sort of the next stage to actually start exposing the end users to the more advanced tools within M365.
It surprises me that Microsoft hasn't gotten into the ERP stuff.
They do have Microsoft Dynamics. They're just very quiet about it.
Is it competitive?
It is. It's very, I think in some sectors, I think it does extremely well. It's not, utilities are not a focus for them. And mid-market, tends to be larger companies, larger corporate entities.
Massive ERP business for them, but yeah, probably not a fit for us.
So other upgrades we're looking at in the next couple of years here, Teams-based contact center. This affects just our customer services group. And this is getting them off of the Cisco phone system using Teams as a telephony solution. So basically Teams will be their phone. And then implementing a contact center solution that lives entirely within Teams. This will give customer service a lot more flexibility in terms of where they work. It also gives us some DR capabilities. If anything were to ever happen, if there was a seismic event in this area and we had to sort of vacate this building for a period of time, our customer service team could work from a remote location easily.
Does that mean we can reduce the landline side of it?
We will ultimately, be converting those direct inward dial lines to, maybe consolidating them to a single 800 number. But yes, it allows us to kind of reduce our footprint in terms of landlines.
Would that be larger than customer service?
This
across the board?
Yeah, customer service is really sort of the, they're the dipping our toe in the water, so to speak. We'll land and expand is kind of the approach that we're taking there. So. Ultimately, we would upgrade the entire organization to Teams for telephony and retire the Cisco phone system.
Last night, AOL, which I still use, went down.
Oh my gosh.
They were down for like 12 hours. No email, in or out. It was quite a shock. I've never seen them do that before. But, the careful part of it is apparently one of their servers went down. And, you're kind of getting your eggs all in one basket. We don't have internet phone where I live. It's cell phone. So the cell phone has to go out through the internet.
Got it.
And so you're kind of all in one bag. One goes down, everything goes down.
We've become very dependent. Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Content server migration. I don't know if that's a term you're familiar with, but we use a document management system called from OpenText called Content Server. There's about 1.3 million documents in that system right now. The intention is to ultimately move that content from on-prem to cloud and make it part of what's M365's, cloud-based storage solution, which is called OneDrive. That's going to be a fairly extensive effort, but it is an opportunity for us to sort of reorganize all that content and also implement our records management strategy. So because we have a very well-defined records management policy, it just hasn't been implemented.
It's interesting how it's kind of moving away from PC-based individual setups to this. It's more like before with the teletype terminals.
Mm.
You log into the terminal, and your computer just becomes a terminal. I guess they're even trying to eliminate hard drive storage necessarily, huh?
Everything's going to the cloud, yeah. And then I have on the list here an upgrade, sorry for the acronyms, that's physical access control systems and video surveillance monitoring systems. Our current physical access control systems are just aging. We still have some components that are running like Windows 98. We'll be upgrading those to cloud-based and then looking at other solutions throughout the district that we can move to. And then lastly, I have on the list here mobility enhancements. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but the idea would be to actually enable all of our fleet vehicles, anything that's in the field, with Wi-Fi so that they can actually become a Wi-Fi hotspot and support dual carriers, both Verizon and AT&T, because we do have some coverage issues when folks are out on the watershed.
That seems like a pretty aggressive goal. I mean, for new vehicles, it's fine because it's already set up that way. But if it's a dated vehicle,
there are some devices. Yeah, we're actually going to have to work with an installer to install these devices. They're called Cradlepoint devices into the older vehicles.
Does that actually make sense from a cost benefit standard if most of the devices are cellular equipped now? Or are you talking about like a laptop in the vehicle that wouldn't have a cellular card?
So this will basically turn that vehicle into a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Right, but
all their other devices can basically leverage that Wi-Fi hotspot. So their phones, their tablets, any other mobile device that they're using.
They'd be on the same cell carrier if that's included in the Cradlepoint.
Right.
What does the dual SIM card do? Does that allow it to, like, you can be on the network to make a call and be able to receive?
It actually allows us to have multiple carriers supporting the device. So both Verizon and AT&T. As I understand it, out on the watershed, one of the AT&T may be better on the east side of the mountain, whereas Verizon's better on the west. But we definitely have some coverage issues if we basically just stick with just one carrier.
Pretty cool.
So this is maybe the less sexy projects, but these are the infrastructure projects that we're going to be tackling. We're looking to relocate our data center from Rancho Cordova, bring it somewhere closer to the district, perhaps up in Santa Rosa. Also consolidate our workloads. Right now we have production workloads both here in the admin building as well as in Rancho Cordova. We'd like to have those in one place so that we can support disaster recovery scenarios more easily. The treatment plants are in dire need of a network upgrade. And this is basically a cable plant. So it's literally pulling cable, pulling fiber, and replacing it with newer cable that meets high, more modern standards. So that's true of both Bontempi and San Geronimo. Corporation Yard, similarly, we're looking at kind of pulling all the cabling out of a Corporation Yard and replacing it. Admin building, we've run into some real challenges here in terms of cabling. So what we're thinking for the admin building is to move from Ethernet cabling to Wi-Fi based infrastructures. So again, customer services is acting as a nice guinea pig for us on this. They'll be moving first to a pure Wi-Fi infrastructure for their workstations. And then if that proves to be viable, we'll actually deploy that throughout the entire building.
Brad, does Skyhooks now have fiber to it?
Yes, AT&T is our provider. One of the items up there is basically running fiber from Sky Oaks to the Bontempi treatment plant. So that would be aerial fiber on power poles, and AT&T would be the carrier.
How far is that?
How far of a run? I think it's a little over 0.6 miles.
Can we bury that? I mean, you're talking about an area where if anywhere is going to be susceptible to damage, that's the spot.
That's an option. We kind of considered that, and we've actually asked AT&T for a quote for that. It tends to be a lot more expensive.
No, absolutely. But I mean, I think in the one area that we would want to underground something would be through the watershed, I assume.
Well, the power poles are already in existence. We're just basically adding an additional fiber to the poles.
Right, no, but I understand the power poles are there, but this would be to protect in event of an emergency where the power lines remain risk. We want to bury what we have.
Got it.
The continuity of communication, I'm assuming through fiber to Bon Tempe is going to be pretty critical.
We're going to look at that for sure.
Okay, great.
And right now, the challenge we have with Bon Tempe is we're using a microwave link from Good Hill Road, kind of across the valley, and are relying on the, cooperation of a very nice resident who's allowing us to put that antenna right next to their home.
I mean, and we're at the point now we should be looking at satellite-based internet as redundant for this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's great that you're doing this because it's something that hasn't been done since I've been here. To go back and look, if it works, ain't broke, don't fix.
Yes, I think that's definitely been the kind of the modalities. So some high level timelines. The GIS cloud migration and the utility network migration is going to, go over the next 2 years, 24 months or so. We have engaged Esri. They're actually the software publisher for the GIS tools that we use, and we're using a program they call the Esri Advantage program to get that done. ERP modernization, as I mentioned, will be also over the next couple of years. Servers and network, that's really something that we're spreading out over the next 4 years. We're trying to kind of get as much usable life out of the existing infrastructure as we can. The UCaaS, so Unified Communications as a Service, and contact center implementation will be this summer in Customer Services Division. We will be looking at upgrading the conference rooms. This boardroom got upgraded in terms of the projectors, but we're looking at also upgrading training center, the training room in the corporation yard, as well as the other conference rooms here in the admin building.
Yeah, this room got upgraded because I bitched about it until I got it.
There you go. That
I
squeaky,
said that
squeaky wheel works.
It reminded me of a Cub Scout meeting. We used to have like projectors sitting on chairs and things like that, and it's like, I said, this got to go.
And then we also have on the horizon a upgrade to our LIMS system, which is our laboratory information management system. That will be happening this next fiscal year. SharePoint Online, again, that's going to be a fairly heavy lift, so it's going to take over a couple of years to do. And then the PAX VSMS upgrades will also happen over the next couple of years. So we do have a lot on our plate. We're kind of in progress right now, building work plans, prioritizing the projects, and kind of slotting them in as to where we can find time to get this stuff done.
You said something earlier about looking at other ERP guys.
Yes.
Like Oracle and people like that.
Oracle, I can give you maybe the top four. Tyler Munis would be one. Oracle, NetSuite would be another. We'll also be looking at, SAP would like to have an opportunity to bid for our business. I had a conversation with them yesterday. And then Infor is probably Workday, maybe another one. So maybe those would be the top five.
Because we went through this once before recently, a couple of years ago. I mean, we looked at alternatives and then headed back to SAP.
Yeah, that was an engagement with Gartner, and the recommendation was to stay with SAP, primarily because there was a perception that we had a lot of in-house expertise around SAP. Turns out, we don't really necessarily understand our system quite as well as we thought we did.
That's interesting.
So that maybe doesn't carry as much sway. And then we also went through an exercise with SAP to get a good projection of what the subscription rate would be once we had finished the project. And it was a sizable investment. So we're looking at potentially more cost-effective solutions.
It fascinates me how Silicon Valley has changed its perception of income.
Yes.
Companies like Adobe are interested in another $5 a month for something. And it's obvious I don't appreciate the volume that they do, that the dollars are bigger than they would appear.
Right.
But it just amazes to me how they grovel for it. They really want another $5.
Uh-huh.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, and in some ways with SAP, when we finally built the bill of materials, there were just so many different line items. It used to be when we initially purchased SAP back in 2000, 2001, there were 2 SKUs. Now there's about 20. And so I think that's another way that they sort of squeeze a little revenue out, is basically you're paying kind of a la carte for every single module that you need. So,
and it's only this much more.
Exactly. So I like that Brett left my my Douglas Adams quote in there. So,
and the picture's cute too.
All right. So just a really quick cybersecurity update. I think it's it's important that the board is aware of kind of what's been going on in the cybersecurity landscape with the district. We have had some breaches recently. The most common threat that we're seeing right now are our suppliers and our partners. So we work with a lot of organizations
Through
that
them,
don't.
you mean?
In other words,
They're getting attacked.
The third party gets breached, and then that breach attempts to then traverse over
Get into our system.
infrastructure.
Mhm.
A lot of our partners, they don't necessarily have an IT department. They're maybe in construction, and this really technology is not their business. So we are relying very, very heavily on Red Canary, our managed security service provider, to really keep us safe from that type of horizontal attack from any of our partners.
It's funny. I've never seen a red canary.
It's a good name. I like the canary in the coal mine kind of concept.
Except they're all yellow.
What was the recent breach? What information did they get?
It usually results in their email systems being compromised, and then we see phishing attempts, or we see or we see actual viruses, malware that actually is trying to traverse. And the idea being, because it's from a trusted sender, it's usually more effective. So we see an email from this known partner, and we say, "Oh, no problem." They've sent us an attachment. We open the attachment, and then that basically kind of detonates the payload, if you want. So Red Canary, this is actual data from our environment over the last 6 months, from June 22nd back. Red Canary collects just an inordinate amount of telemetry from our systems, about 42 billion data points. And this is activity from endpoints. This is activity on our network. This is activity on our servers. They run that through various filters and algorithms using AI to kind of deduplicate the data, reduce the data. And then ultimately, they actually then engage human beings to analyze the activity to find out whether it's actually a threat. So of the 42 billion or so data points that they collected over 6 months, they reduced that down to about 300,000, which then reduced even further down to about 78 suspect activities, at which point their SOC, their Security Operations Center team, analyzed the activity. Long story short, they ultimately identified 10 actual threats in our environment over the last 6 months. And what's really useful about the Red Canary service, rather than simply raising a red flag and saying, okay, you've been breached, they actually take action on those threats. So in those 10 instances where they identified an actual threat, they actually responded to that threat by shutting it down.
How long does this process take?
This is essentially real time. Yeah, it's happening 24/7, and it's happening in real time. I think in the last breach that they identified and then actually shut down, the response time was less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
So
are we finding people trying to get into our operations side, or is it just
the greatest number of threats? We have a lot of kind of denial of service on the internet. So all of our public facing services are under a constant barrage of probes and kind of denial of service threats. That's just kind of par for the course on the internet, I think. Where we see the most activity is in phishing attempts. So email is the number one vector where we see people trying to compromise our systems.
Are they looking at us the way you look at the vendors? Is it a way in that people would say that email's okay because it's coming from us? That's what they're after.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then AI is, obviously in the news everywhere, but it is also playing a role within cyber attacks. We're seeing a lot of activity where it now is a majority of the threats that are inbound are basically generated by AI.
So sort of the backwards of the red canary, huh?
Uh-huh.
Using it the other way.
Using it the other way. So it is kind of this constant, battle
Race.
and race to the to keep up with their techniques. But a vast majority, a majority of threats coming in now are using generative AI to basically sort of improve the quality. So you remember those spam emails or those phishing emails where you could easily tell by grammatical errors, verb conjugation problems. Now
that's all gone.
It looks much more professional, it looks much more clean, and it makes our managed services that much more important.
Apparently, that's how teachers are using the system to see when the student switches to AI, because all of a sudden the grammar improves,
and
they go like, no,
sentence structure
that's not
gets
this
better, and so keeping on the theme of AI, we did myself and another team member and IT supervisor attended an application innovation conference fairly recently. As you can imagine, everything at these conferences is about AI. That's kind of all that anyone talks about. What was actually very useful in this last conference was identifying kind of the 5 use cases in utility sector that specifically water utilities where AI plays a role. And that's specifically leak detection and, basically identifying non-revenue water and reducing non-revenue water impact. Predictive maintenance, very big, predicting when a pump's going to fail before it fails, predicting when a main's going to break before it breaks, et cetera, et cetera. Demand
Good luck with that
forecasting.
one.
What's that?
Good luck with that one.
Well, it was interesting how, again, all of these things, and I can, go through these various use cases, but you can see them right there. The common thread is AI needs data. And so in order for any of this to be useful, we basically need to have a mature SCADA system. AMI is going to play a huge role in this. But as we get more and more data from the sensors and as we get more smart meter infrastructure deployed, we can start to take advantage of some of this capability.
So the conference you attended was about water?
It was not. It was basically just application innovation, but there were several vendors there who were sort of specifically focused on the utility sector.
Interesting.
Yeah. So from a kind of more procedural standpoint, I just want to let the board know that we are focused right now on kind of building a more formal process for procurement of technology within the district. Specifically a process where we review solutions. The IT department gets involved in reviewing the terms and conditions and the licensing, agreements for those solutions. We're doing what we can to sort of piggyback on any statewide contracts where we can get some economies of scale and better terms. And because most software providers are kind of moving to the subscription model, we're sort of centralizing that within IT, centralizing that within a single budget, category and fund center so that we can actually sort of understand exactly what our total spend is over time. And then this is the last slide. This essentially is just sort of a heads up of some of the contracts that will be coming to the board in the near future for approval and funding. We are close to finishing our third year with Microsoft for the M365 services. So we are going to basically be renegotiating a new enterprise agreement. That'll probably likely be under the Riverside agreement again, so I don't foresee many changes. We are looking, as I said, to go to a potential new data center. But the current provider, we really don't have a contract. They purchased SunGard out of receivership or bankruptcy, so we really don't have a formal contract in place. We're going to probably be putting forth an agreement with 365 data centers for our Rancho facility. As I mentioned, Esri and the GIS, moving GIS to the cloud, that will be with a third-party provider. We're soliciting bids right now. These are basically third parties that specialize in hosting GIS infrastructure in public cloud infrastructures like AWS and Azure. So we'll be coming forth with a contract fairly soon for the hosting of our GIS infrastructure. Obviously, Adobe, you mentioned the Adobe tools. We are a customer there. We'll be renewing our enterprise agreement with Adobe soon as well.
You indicated to anticipate a cost of 500,000 a year for 4 years for servers, previous couple slides back. What do you think the total cost is here, annual,
For GIS hosting?
for what you're asking for here?
Oh,
Roughly.
across the board?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I have a total. I mean, the individual line items I'm aware of, and Microsoft is about 140,000 a year.
So
The
we're closing on $1 million then.
The GIS hosting, yeah, likely the GIS hosting right now, the current bids we've seen have been around 120K a year. So add all these up, and eventually, I think you get to about $1 million a year.
And just to clarify too, most everything you see on the list here is already in the budget. We've been doing most of these for a while. Some of it we're expanding, some we're consolidating. I think the list here is just to give the board a sense of kind of what's coming into the IT Fund Center.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, we know with a lot of these technology solutions, they're going to have subscription costs that come up each and every year. They're going to increase by 5 to 8% every year. So these will be things that you'll be seeing on future board meetings as we renew these agreements every year or two. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think we're probably pushing almost more than 2 million if you count all these together. Between if you look at AT&T data services, that's a big one. A lot of these consulting services are a couple 100,000 a year, so they do add up. But you'll see those in the IT budget.
Can you say something about what the GUI development is for the SAP applications?
So Synactive is a partner that we've used them for a very long time, and basically they allow us to automate things within SAP. So if you have a process or a transaction in SAP that takes 3-4 screens to go through, and we have plenty of them, Synactive has a tool called Liquid UI that allows us to basically build a new graphical user interface, consolidate those 5 screens down to 1 screen. Operations uses these extensively to kind of streamline their work within SAP. So I think we lost a resource internally who did a lot of work with Synactive and built a lot of these, scripts, as they're called, in GUI-XT and Liquid UI. We've kind of revisited the tool, and we've actually upgraded it. We're in the process of upgrading it to the latest version. And we've identified a lot of processes in SAP that could be made much more efficient by applying this tool. So that's what, it's kind of that refinement concept where while we're building and maybe moving to a new ERP solution, we're going to kind of make the existing solution better.
Got it.
As best as we can.
We have a hard stop at 10.
I think.
Do you any idea how much the next?
This is it.
Times?
My last
There's
slide.
another. There's one more though.
Oh, is there?
No, one more item. Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's our item.
Yeah.
We're happy to stop and take any questions.
I think that's probably
Okay.
all.
Okay.
No, I just want to say thank you for the presentation, especially with all the workload going on in parallel to SAP. So it's a big lift.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brad, my thanks as well. I'm still looking at the high level timelines, and there's a lot going on in parallel. How much of this is just keeping up with evolution in the industry, and how much of this is catching up so that we're better able to utilize all the advances in the industry?
It's a lot of catch up.
A lot of catch up.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So this intensity of workload will eventually taper off. I don't know, 29, 30, something like that.
That's the hope.
Then we'll have
So-
to start all over again.
Right. And start catching
That's
up
how
again.
it goes.
Well, there's a huge advantage in going to these cloud services in that a lot of that system administration burden goes away.
Mhm.
So we don't need to upgrade servers in GIS anymore. We don't need to upgrade operating systems. We don't need to patch and upgrade the applications. That's taken care of by the service provider. So the hope is once we sort of get to the cloud, we can focus on less maintaining and more enhancements. Yeah, going forward.
Got it. Thank you.
Anna?
Yeah, nothing.
Jed?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think my overall review of this is that I don't know. Maybe I'll start further back. Technology is rooted in generational improvements. Generational improvements are not the same as human generations. These are like every 3-4 years. So this is not going to be something that, okay, by 2030 we're done and then we're all set. These things happen every 3 or 4 years, and you have to stay on it. We're 25 years behind. SAP, when we came in 3.5 years ago, was already not being supported by SAP. And I know you're working hard, Brad. This is not a diss on you, but I think that we need significantly more investment in our team to be able to upgrade the IT systems at Marin Water. If we continue to just look at features and costs, if it's not broke, don't fix it, we will continue to be behind. There are so many benefits. When you look at technology innovation, it's rooted not just in the features and costs, it's rooted in the benefits that it provides our organization. And the benefits are massive. And I definitely think we need an education for both the board and the staff about why these are such important moves for us. How can we save money on meter reading, on leak detection, on predictive maintenance, on networking updates, on making sure we don't rely on dial-up to go down to have cell phone service, on customer billing, on payroll optimization, GIS accuracy. These are not just features and costs. These are massively important savings that we can provide and opportunities for improving our financials, for improving our service to our customers. So I would like to suggest, Brad, that you kind of bring to the board in particular a good lesson on why this is important, not just why it's expensive and how much work it is, but I'm not sure that folks understand that level of benefits that we will be providing. So as kind of maybe a to-do, Brett, to suggest for you and the team is to look at how big other IT departments are in like agencies. Look at what East Bay Mud does. Look at what Sonoma Water does. Look at where other folks and how many people they have in their IT department to support all this work. There's no chance that I think, Brad, given the incredible extent of work that you are taking on and that we need to upgrade after decades of not having investments in these areas, that we're understaffed. And so the value of staffing this appropriately and the value to our customers, to our financials, to our accuracy, to our team. I mean, I met meter readers. They go to one computer and they have to come back to the office and they have to type in their data. I mean, there's only one computer and sometimes they can't because they're out all day long. I mean, that's just productivity that is lost. So focus on the benefits, help people understand the cost savings that these will provide to us, and hire a real significant team to support this effort. I'm not sure, even AMI has enormous savings for us, even though it costs money. So I think you're on the right track. What I like about this presentation is I think it highlights how important all of these upgrades are. And I think some education that it's going to be happening every technology generation, which is getting faster and faster. It's not 25 years, it's every 3 years. So we can't wait for another couple of decades and get behind. So I appreciate that. I hope that's helpful. If any other board members think we might want to look at staffing as a way to help be effective, that could be a good thing, I think.
Yeah, Jed, I'll step in just for a second. I think staffing in terms of the ability to accelerate some of these projects and meet these deadlines would be helpful. And knowing that how much more can we pay to actually get these things across the finish line in a timely manner would be great.
And just like, Brad, maybe if there's any pushback that you're getting from the team or the board, point to the benefits of all of these solutions. You get a better GIS system. It's going to save this many hours a week, which is going to save this much dollars and more time. And we're going to, better trucks. But everything should point towards the benefit, not just the features. So the features is this: it's a dial-up modem. The benefit is we will have redundancy and we will never go down. So risk that I think may help people understand why we're way underinvested in here.
Thank you, Jed. Perhaps at the next retreat, that would be a good time for that.
Mhm.
Okay, public comment.
There's none.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one more, which is the laboratory contract.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, guys.
Morning, Board. Paul Sully, Water Resources Director. We do not have any sexy slides, brain neural networks or anything like that. But
When they're finished, you probably can just look at the screen and project it.
maybe so. Yeah,
Brain.
fascinating stuff. So anyway, I know the board's we'd like to get out of here. So Matthew Steiner joins us. Matthew's our water quality manager. We're here with the renewal of water quality analysis contracts, which we've just had the first year sort of under our belt, and things have gone quite well. I'll leave it to Matthew to present the item.
Yeah, good morning, board. I'd like to be respectful of everybody's time. I heard that there was a hard stop at 10. I can kind of skip right to the end if that's.
I'm on the other meeting right now, so
Oh, okay.
doing dual planning here.
All right. Water quality analytical testing is an essential component of ensuring the delivery of safe water to customers. While analytical testing by a certified laboratory is required by state and federal drinking water regulations, it also provides us some insight and assurances that processes on a molecular scale are operating as intended. The district has always had some analysis performed by outside contract labs, but we recently transitioned to the majority of contract analysis being performed, or a compliance analysis being performed by contract laboratory. We've learned a lot over this year. We've worked out a lot of the kinks, and we've kind of finally started to find our groove. So for these upcoming fiscal years, staff requested proposals from 4 local environmental laboratories. That's Alpha Analytical, Eurofins Eden Analytical, McCampbell Analytical, and a new one, Torrent Laboratories. Of the 3 proposals we received back, only 2 of them really, Alpha and Eurofins kind of best met our needs for what we were looking for. Alpha really specializes in the short hold time. They're very local. They've got 5 local Bay Area laboratories. They specialize in the short hold time, and Eurofins Eden Analytical specializes in more, they're kind of a global scale. They've got labs all over the country, so they're more of our go-to for long hold time analysis. Staff's also suggesting that we switch from the annual contract to a 2-year contract to kind of limit the back and forth that we have to, requesting proposals from labs is not an easy thing for a laboratory to generate costs. And so kind of as much as we can limit that, we'd like to. So the numbers that are included in the staff report are proposed fiscal year 27 costs as well as fiscal year 28 costs. The difference there being an annual projected increase. One, the cost of the CPI for Eurofins, and another just a 5% that Alpha agreed to. So staff will be coming back to the board with a recommendation for award of contracts at a regularly scheduled future meeting of the board of directors.
Matt, thanks for the update. I think when we started discussing this greater use of outside services, one of the drivers was the cost and complexity of maintaining the accreditation requirements for our own internal laboratory. So I assume that now these external services are more cost effective in that we're not having to invest as much in the maintenance of our own laboratories, or I guess in the the maintenance of that accreditation level for our own laboratory. Is that correct? And how is that affecting the the workflows or work requirements for our laboratory staff? Are they able to are we able to move them into other activities so that just keep up their general workload?
Here.
Yeah, if I could, I'll start. Matthew, you can fill in, Director Cush. So Yes, as you know, we have fewer folks, chemists in the lab performing active sort of wet chemistry tasks that a lot of this analysis does. So there are positional savings that we have. There's a chemist 2 position that's no longer filled and a laboratory technician position that's no longer filled in the lab. So those 2 positions virtually by themselves offset most of this work. And as you recall, the laboratory technician was repurposed to a field technician to help us better support our distribution system water quality monitoring. So the physical aspect of being out in the water system. So those things have generally been borne out. And so, yes, we have been able to repurpose staff. No one has lost their job as a result of this change in how we perform our compliance analysis.
Yeah, just in addition to that, a lot of the certification upkeep involved, testing of equipment, verifying that all the equipment works, all the accessories that we need for the equipment and running tests, which could be more than $100,000 a year. We didn't need to fulfill this year because of the outsourcing for contract labs.
Yeah. So because of what the state is requiring now for certification and accreditation, outsourcing is making more and more sense. And just last point, the positions that we're no longer maintaining, we just never filled positions that were vacant.
Yeah.
For existing staff, they have been able to move to other activities that hopefully are still aligned with their training, I guess.
Generally so, yes.
Yeah.
And I would say one aspect we haven't talked about was our partnership with North Marin Water District, who have been helping us perform some samples. So it's just kind of the first, I don't know, we've been doing that since July last year or?
Maybe more regularly since January, February.
Yeah. So North Marin, we've started that partnership with them. They're doing some micro testing for us on the raw samples from the lakes, which have a very short hold time. So it's quite convenient for us. That's going well so far.
Got it. Thank you.
And thank you again for the presentation as well. You mentioned that we worked through some kinks the first year. What came up in terms of the issues operationally we were facing?
Well, you can imagine with the number of samples going out for analysis being dramatically increased or significantly increased. Well, each one of those analysis has its own individual report that comes back. And so there was, almost getting flooded with these analytical reports. And so kind of developing ways, means, and methods for how to kind of digest those reports and then have them entered into our laboratory information management software system that Brad touched on in the previous presentation. There were some growing pains there. There's, it's a lot more data entry than staff were used to.
Nothing in terms of water safety, okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And then the second question I had was, have we done work with both of these firms that you're recommending?
We have, yes. We're currently under contract with both of them.
Okay.
And in the years past, we've used Eurofins for annual testing for a
Right.
while.
I just want to make sure that we have some vetting going on before we jump to a 2-year role instead of, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Jed? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
There's no public
Okay,
comment.
next meeting is Tuesday, July 28th. We'll adjourn.
Thanks, team.
Thank you.